Okay, this is not cool. This is not cool. This is not cool at all. Nope. Unacceptable. Huge mess. I don't know what came over me, but I went to bed last night and I did not clean up my workspace. And it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Not cool at all. Hello everybody, my name's Luisa. How's everybody doing? Look at this mess. Can you believe it? Do you go through the same thing? Looks like a tornado hit my desk. I was working on some projects last night and I kind of went nuts. I lost track of time. I had this one little issue that I was trying to figure out, and then it got late and I got tired, and so I abandoned my workspace without cleaning it. So I was working mainly with the beautiful Serenity Shore design kit that I got from the Softflex company, and I made a bracelet, I made a necklace, I made this cute little necklace as you can see, but I'm going to change it because it's too plain. I want it to look different, so I'm going to take off this drop and put a little charm there of some sort, you know, some other kind of thing to make it a little bit more unique. But anyway, I have some beads left over, and so I would like to sit down with you and make something with these beads. So let me go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. By the way, if you don't have the exact same beads, that's okay. You can still do the project. I don't have to tell you that. I know that. But some of you, I know, get a little frustrated when creators like me do tutorials with specific beads. But, you know, just compromise. Use your own beads. Go into your stash. Find something similar, and, you know, you should be able to make the same exact necklace. All right, let's go ahead and turn the camera around and we'll get started. Yikes. Okay, I do need to clean this up before we get started because I cannot set up my board, my beading board, and have this mess staring at you. So let me go ahead and clean it up and then we'll get busy. Okay, that's better. That is so much better. I can go ahead and start the tutorial. Before we start, let me just go ahead and remind you that there are timestamps down below. So if you don't want to hear me ramble, go ahead and check out the timestamps and click the timestamps, click to where you want to go in the video, okay? I'll let you know about that because I do ramble a little bit. I always like to give a preview of what it is that I'm going to make, and here's a preview. I like to lay it out with these clips ahead of time to make sure that everything fits just right. So these are all, not all of them, but most of them are from the Serenity Shore design kit from the Softflex company. Some of these beads are some of my own and some of them are from that kit, okay? So I don't have a lot from the kit left over, but one thing I don't want to do in this video is I don't want to go through the materials ahead of time because I just think it makes the video too long. So I'm going to leave a list down in the description of everything that I'm going to be using today, and I'm also going to leave a list of the tools that I'm going to be using, and that way we can save a little bit of time and you won't get so aggravated hearing me talk, okay? But I did want to mention something. The design kit came with this beading wire, and it's colored, which I really love, but to me colored beading wire is to be used in a design where you can actually see it, and we're not going to be doing that in this necklace. So I am going to use something different, and I have this AccuFlex spool, 49 strands, and it's 0.019 inches in diameter, so that's what we're going to be using today. Let me just show you an example of a necklace that I made using this kit and using the colored wire. So here's a necklace that I made with the Serenity Shore design kit, and as you can see, it has the colored wire, and you can see the wire, and that's the whole purpose of it. That's why they sell it in different colors, okay, so you can show it off in a design. These are absolutely gorgeous beads. They're all from the Serenity Shore design kit, except for these clear ones up here. These are from my own stash. I just love these colors. They're so beautiful. We have the green, we have the brownish tan color, we have the beautiful sky blue color, and it's just such a nice mixture. And here's the one that I showed you in the intro. As you can see, I switched out the bottom drop and I put a charm there. This came with the design kit, And all of these beads came in that kit except for the metal ones right here, and I believe that's it. Oh, and these bicones, these green bicones, these are from my own stash. But all the other beads came from the design kit. So I really don't have that many left, but you know, we're going to go ahead and work with what we have. And like I said, if you don't have these beads, don't panic. Go into your stash and get something similar. I'm going to leave a list of all the items like I said before, and I'm going to give you the dimensions as well, okay? So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take this off this piece of beading wire because it's kind of short, and I just wanted to lay out my design before making it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come right back. Before I take it off this piece of wire, let me just show you what else I'm going to do with this, okay? Just so you know ahead of time. I am going to put some drops down below, and these are gorgeous beads. These came with that kit. I love them. They're mostly smooth, but they do have a little bit of faceting on them, but they're very soft facets. So I'm going to have one large one here, and then I'm also going to have these two smaller beads, and these are not teardrop shaped. They're kind of oval shaped, faceted, and they're not from the design kit. These are from my own stash. I'm going to have them here, okay? Now, because this is very chain heavy, and you can see a lot of the metal, I want to tie it all in by placing a metal bead right there. I'm also going to finish the necklace with some clear crystals. So to tie this into that, I'm going to add some little crystals right here, okay? So this is basically how it's going to look. So now that you've seen the preview, let me go ahead and remove all these beads and we'll get started. I do recommend that you get these clips, guys, because they're very useful for holding your beads in place. You can get bead stoppers if you want to, but I got these. I think I got them on Amazon. They're very strong and they have rubber tips, and that's what I like about them. So I've removed the beads, believe it or not. And you're probably wondering how I made this. Well, it's very, very simple. This is actually one piece of chain, okay? That's all it is, one piece of chain. And it's relatively long, as you can see. These are ovals, and it's textured chain. And when I say textured, I mean there's a little bit of a pattern on the metal, as you can see, or a little bit of stamping, I should say, on the metal. And they're oval links, and the links are, I think they're 6 by 5.5 millimeters in dimension. They're relatively big, and so if you have some large chain in your stash, this would be the perfect design for that. Okay, so let me tell you how many links you're going to need. Of course, it all depends on how big your actual links are, okay? The smaller the links, obviously, the more you're going to need to accommodate the beads. And of course, the size of your beads matter as well. And although I don't like to count links, unfortunately, you're going to have to count your links in order for this design to be symmetrical, okay? So I have actually 51 links on my piece of chain here. And like I said, it all depends on how big your beads are. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut ourselves a piece of beading wire that is at least, I would say, 24 inches, you know, depending on how long you want your necklace. If you want an 18-inch necklace, I would recommend cutting yourself a couple of inches more than what you need. So 24 is a good number. I always cut myself more than I need so that I'm not struggling with the length of the wire. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, here's my beading wire. The first thing I'm going to do is put my stopper on here, my clip, okay? And so now I'm going to go to the other end. I'm going to thread on these beads right here. Okay, I've threaded on those beads, as you can see, and I do have a little bit of a pattern, blue, tan, and blue, with silver in between, okay? I have my bead caps. This is actually an amazonite right here. It's a really pretty coffee-colored amazonite that I found in my stash. And anyway, this is the first step, okay? So once you get to this bead here, we're going to continue, but we're going to continue with the chain. And here's where you need to pay a little bit of attention to how you thread on the links, because if you don't do it the correct way, you're going to end up with something that's a little too twisted, okay? So as you can see, these are how the links are connected, okay? So you need to look at that because it's important, okay? Now the way I look at it is one link is going up and one is going across. That's how I look at it. One goes up and one goes across. One goes up and one goes across. So when you thread your beading wire on, you have to kind of pay attention to that, okay? And hold it just like this so that you don't lose track of the orientation of those links. Okay, so the first link is facing north, okay, up. I don't know how else to describe it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my beading wire and I'm going to go across towards the back. Then I'm going to come down through this side link, okay, and pull. Then I'm going to go across and pull, make sure it goes through, and then the next link I'm going down. And it helps if you tell yourself those words. I'm going across and I'm going down. I'm going across and I'm going down. Okay, trust me, because if you don't do that, you're going to lose track and then you might end up twisting the wire around. So the next one is across and the next one is down. It's like you're sewing your way through the links, zigzagging up and down, zigzagging up and down. The next one is across and the next one is down. Okay. All right, so I'm going down. So now I'm going to go across towards the back. And then I'm going to go down. Okay, so let me show you what happens. When you tighten it up, this is what you get. Now, if you haven't threaded them on properly, you're not going to get that, okay? You're going to get a link that's out of whack, a little wonky link, okay? That's how you know that you haven't threaded it properly. But just pay attention to which direction your beading wire is going through, all right? So I'm going down. Now I'm going to go across. Okay, I'm going across to the back, so now I've got to turn my links this way. I'm going to go down. And it helps if you collapse it every so often to make sure that you're on target, okay? And remember which direction you're traveling. Okay, so now I remembered that I went down, so now I'm going to go across. I hope this makes sense. All right, so I'm going across to the back. So the next link is going to go down. All right, now I did a total of 14 links in my previous design, so you need to count your links to make sure that you don't do any more than that. I'm using a total of 51, but like I said, you know, it all depends on your beads and what you like, actually. So if you collapse this and you see the length, perhaps you like this length, and maybe you don't want to do anything longer than that. It's up to you. You're the creator of your own universe. You get to create your own design. Okay, so I'm going to count my links and I'll be right back. All right, so I did exactly 14. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and push the whole thing down. And this is what you should have. Okay, so when you collapse the chain, or when you, it's like an accordion, when you close it up, I don't know what the proper term is, this is what you should end up with, okay? It's a very pretty design. It kind of reminds me of chainmail a little bit, except that you didn't have to work hard to get that chainmail look. Okay, so once you have that, the next step is to thread on this beautiful coffee-colored bead. I love this bead and I love the shape. It's so pretty. I love the color. All right, so now we're going to bring this down and we're going to lay it down, okay? Now this part is important, guys, okay? Because you want to be able to have a little bit of drape there, okay? Not too much, but again, it's personal preference, all right? It's totally up to you. But whatever you do have, you need to have an odd number of links down below, okay? So I'm going to count 7, and then I'm going to go through the 8th one, all right? So let me zoom in so that you can see exactly what I'm doing, okay? I'm coming out of my 14th link right here. I'm going to count 7 links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th one, and this is the one that I'm going to bring my wire through. All right, so now I went down through the last link, the 14th link. So let's have a look now. Down, across, down, across, down, across, down, across, down. So I'm going to go down through this one. Okay, now I don't know if that matters or not, but that's how I'm doing it. And when you pull, this is what you should have. Okay? Very, very simple design. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to thread on this larger bead right here. So a large bead cap, the large rondelle, which came with the design kit. I love this color, it's beautiful. And a large bead cap. These did not come with a design kit. I had to get these on Amazon. Okay, bring that down. And we're going to do the same thing, okay? So we essentially went through the 8th link right here with 7. So there are 7 links that are free down below this one. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to count 7 links from this 8th one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th link. I hope you guys can see that. Okay. So this is where I'm going to insert my wire. We came down on this link, so across, down, across, down, across, down, across, down. Same thing. Grab your beading wire and go down and pull. Okay, and this is what you should have. Okay, and the final bead is this one again. So let's go ahead and do the bead cap. This one came with a design kit. The bead and the other bead cap. Pull. All right, same thing again, guys. Okay, let me move this one out of the way. So this is the 8th link, so we're going to count 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th one. Okay, so now let's go ahead and figure out which direction. So this was down, so across, down, across, down, across, down, across, down. Okay, so that's the direction the beading wire is going to go. Down through that link and pull. Okay, pretty simple, guys. Pretty simple. All right, so now to continue, we know this one was down, so the next link we're going to go across. So make sure that your links are facing the proper direction, and we go across, we go down, we go across, okay, to the back, across to the back, just like that, and we go down, and we go across, and we go down, across, down, okay, across to the back, we're almost done, down, across to the back, Okay, make sure those links are facing the correct direction. Down, we have one more, and across. Okay, and that should be 14 right there. Bring them in, and this is what you should have. Check them, make sure that they're laying properly. Okay, like I said, if you see one that's wonky, that means you haven't threaded it right. So mine look pretty good. Okay, and what's going to keep them in place are the beads. All right, so we're going to continue beading, and we're going to finish the same pattern on this side. So we need a bead cap, the blue faceted round, another bead cap, a metal bead, a bead cap, a smaller one, the amazonite bead, another bead cap, the metal bead, and this gorgeous oval bead. Bring them down, and this is what you should have. Now that's not the end of it. We're going to continue beading, but we're going to put some clear beads up the rest of the necklace. So I'm going to go ahead and move my beading wire so that this is in the exact center. Okay, and this is where you have to decide how long you want your necklace. Okay, so whenever I change colors, I like to separate the colors with something. So I'm going to use some seed beads, some silver colored, antique silver colored seed beads at the end of these oval beads, and they're going to be not too large. I'm going to use the size 8/0. So let me go ahead and grab a couple, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have one on here, and now I'm going to thread the other one on the other side. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. So now I'm going to switch to the clear colored crystals. Now these are 6mm in size, and they're Chinese crystals, and I think I got them on one of those Chinese companies, either Beads or Panda Hall. I'm not exactly sure, maybe BB Craft, but they're 6mm faceted crystals, and I'm going to go ahead and start threading some of these on. And I've got 6 on. I'm going to go ahead and add a seed bead. The reason I'm adding it is for design purposes only. It's not because of any other reason. I just like to break it up so it's not just all crystals. But like I said, you get to design what you want. It's totally up to you guys, okay? You can have as many crystals as you want. All right, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to add another 6, and then I'm going to add them to the other side, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I have 2 sets of 6 on this side and 2 sets of 6 on this side. I need another seed bead on this side to finish it off. Okay, now I'm going to switch to a smaller size crystal. Okay, and I've got some 4mm crystals that I purchased on Panda Hall or one of those Chinese companies. So I'm going to go ahead and add these to the end, and I'm going to go ahead and add them actually all the way through to the clasp. So this is where you need to put it on your chest and see how it fits and figure out how long you want it. And don't forget, we have some drops here, so you have to take that into account. If you don't want something hanging too low on your chest, take that into account. So I'm going to go ahead and continue adding these tiny crystals, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've added my crystals at the end here. There are about 17 4mm crystals on each side. My necklace is about 9 inches on each side, about 18 inches total. So I think that's a good size. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm not going to add a metal bead or a seed bead because I'm going to add a crimp cover that is antique silver in color. Next step, you're going to need some wire guardians, okay, a couple of them. And you're also going to need some jump rings. Here are my jump rings. I have a 4mm and a 6 or a 5. Either one would work. Okay. Now the kit did come with some crimps, and these are the 2x2 sterling silver. That's what I recommend. So you're going to need a couple of these. You need a lobster claw clasp, and the kit came with one, so I'm going to go ahead and use that one. Okay, you're going to need some crimp covers. these are 4mm in size. I got these at Fire Mountain Jams, but you can get them on Amazon. They're very easy to find. Okay, so we're going to start by threading on one of these crimps, okay, just like this, and then get your wire guardian and thread that on. And if you've never used one of these before, it's very simple. You thread on one side like this, and then thread it through to the other side like this, okay, and push it all the way down. So this is what you should have, okay, and then go ahead and take your end and thread it through the crimp like this, okay. Pull the wire down so that you take out all the slack, so that it's up against your wire guardian, just like this, okay. And then I always like to thread through at least one bead, okay. You don't have to thread through a lot because it's not necessary. One is sufficient, okay. 1 or 2 beads is sufficient. This is what you should have, okay. Get your crimping pliers and close up your wire guardian just a little bit, okay. You want to be careful when you do this. Bring those ends together, and then make sure that you take out whatever slack is in that wire guardian. You don't want any slack at all, okay. And then go ahead and use the first notch of your crimping pliers, give it a squeeze just like that. So this is what you should have, okay. And again, you want to make sure there's no slack, and then go ahead and use the second notch, the one that's furthest away, just like this, and give it a squeeze. Okay, very simple. That's one of the reasons I like to use sterling silver crimps, because it's just so much easier. And this is what you should have, okay. Okay, so now we're going to get our crimp cover and slide it on just like this. Get your pliers again, and you're going to use them to close up that crimp cover just like this, very gently, because you don't want to damage the metal, okay. Okay, and then once you have that done, you're going to go ahead and snip off the excess beading wire, the tail, and this is what you should have, okay. All right, now we're going to bring the beads down, and you know when you do this, guys, make sure that you don't bring it down so that it's real tight, because then it doesn't have any flexibility. You want some flexibility, okay. So if the beads are really tight, you're not going to have freedom of movement, but at the same time you don't want any slack either, okay. You don't want any of that beading wire showing. So it's a challenge, and it's a balance, okay. You have to find the right balance. So again, we're going to grab a crimp, thread that on like this, get your wire guardian and thread it on. Thread on one side like this, and then thread on the other side, or thread it through the other side like this, okay. Come down to where the crimp is and thread your beading wire through the crimp and through the first bead like this, and pull, bring them down, make sure there's no slack. Bring your beads down, bring the guardian down, okay, and make sure that everything is nice and tight. Okay, now here's where you need to check this. Make sure that this chain is snugly placed on that thread. Okay, and then before you crimp this down, just, you know, check that, make sure that everything's even. Okay, sometimes the chain twists around, so you want to untwist it, you know, make sure that it's laying properly and it's up against the beads. And then once you're satisfied with everything, again, you want to close up the guardian just a little bit at the base, like that. You want to crimp the crimped bead, okay, just like this. Tighten your wire, make sure that it's snug within the channel of that wire guardian, and then go ahead and use the second notch of your pliers, like that. So that's what you should have. Okay, cut off the excess wire. And now we have these two ends complete. So now all we got to do is add the jump rings and the clasp, and then we do have to add the drops. So let's go ahead and add the jump rings. We're going to add the little one first, the 4mm one. So you want to open it up, hook it onto the wire guardian, get your clasp, hook that on just like this, and close it using a second set of pliers. And now we're going to add the larger one. So you want to open this one up, hook it onto the wire guardian like this, and close it up. And if you guys want to add an extension chain, by all means, I highly recommend it, especially if you're going to give this necklace to somebody so that they have the option of wearing it longer or shorter or whatever. Almost forgot, I need to put a crimp cover on that. So let me go ahead and do that before I forget. And again, you want to slip it on just like that, and using your crimping pliers, very gently close it up. So that's on, and it's looking pretty good so far. So now the only thing we have left are the drops, and that's what we're going to do next. Okay, for the drops I'm going to be using 24 gauge wire, tarnish resistant, and we're going to start out by cutting a 3-inch piece, 3 to 4 inches, okay, depending on your comfort level. If you're a beginner, I recommend that you cut a longer length. And by the way, guys, I did mention the 7 lengths, but that's only based on the size of the beads, okay? You may need more than 7, but whatever you put underneath here, it's got to be an odd number, okay? Because we're going to hang the charm from the middle link. All right, so now that you have your piece of wire, get your big drop, thread it through, and you're going to thread it through maybe 1/3 of the wire, something like that, okay? Bend it, bend this side so that it's pointing straight ahead, bend the other side so that it's pointing straight ahead, just like this, okay? And now you're going to cross the two ends so that it looks something like this, okay? All right, so now using some pliers, you're going to take your pliers and you're going to place it at the notch, just like this, and kink the long wire upward so it's facing straight up, something like this. Take your other wire and you're going to bend it so that it's facing to the side like this, okay? Something like that. Grab another set of pliers, and I like to use these crimping pliers. I know I've mentioned this in my previous videos. I use the very tip because it's very fine tip and it grabs really well, and I'm able to grab small loops just like that. But use whatever plier you feel comfortable with, and you're going to go ahead and do a couple of wraps. Now, because this is 24 gauge wire, the wraps aren't going to be too visible. I don't like my wraps to be too big, and I usually only do 2, maybe 3 at the most. And then once you have your wraps on there, your 2 to 3 wraps, you're going to snip off the excess. Okay, and you're going to tuck in whatever little bit is sticking out. Tuck it in using your pliers. So this is what you should have. Okay, now you're going to get your metal bead and you're going to thread it on like so. Okay, get your round nose pliers, grab it at the top, give it a little kink, position your pliers like this. Okay, because now we're going to do a wrap, a loop and a wrap. So you do your loop, and you want the loop to be pretty big because the links are pretty big. Okay, so I'm going to do my loop further up the nose like this and wrap it towards the back like this. So this is what you should have. Okay, and now you're going to take your middle link of the set of bead, okay, which would be the 4th one from, remember we added 7, so it would be the 4th one down. Take your loop, take your wire and thread it through so that it goes right inside that loop, just like that. Okay, grab it with your gripping pliers, and with your second set of pliers you're going to form your wraps. Cut off the excess, and then if you see anything sharp sticking out, make sure you squish it down. Okay, and that's all there is to it, guys, and look how beautiful that looks. Let me put it down so you can see. There it is. I love it. Okay, so now we're going to attach these 2 oval beads. So for that we're going to need some head pins. I have a couple of head pins here. These are 22 gauge. They're a little bit thicker than what I want, but that's okay. We're going to work with them. So you're going to go ahead and attach one like this, okay? And the crystal is going to go right on top of it, just like this, okay? And now we're going to do another wrap at the top, a loop and a wrap. So kink it like this, switch your pliers around, make sure that the loop is going to be big enough because, like I said, these links are pretty big, okay? So you want to make sure that it fits. Wrap it around the top, switch your pliers around, wrap it towards the back like this, okay? And before you finish wrapping it, you want to attach it again to the 4th link. So make sure you have the correct link, okay? That would be this one right here. Slip it into the loop, just like that. Grab it with your gripping pliers. That's what I'm calling them, even though that's not the technical name. Take your other set of pliers and go ahead and do a couple of wraps. This is 22 gauge, so I don't need that many, but I do want to make sure that I cover up the post of the wire. Once you do the wraps, just like before, cut off the excess and check it, make sure there aren't any sharp bits hanging out or sticking out, and that side is done. And that's what we have so far. So now we're going to do this one. Same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do it off camera and I'll meet you right back. Well, here it is, guys. Tell me that's not beautiful. Tell me that it's not different or unique. I love it, and I love the colors. I love how it looks. I love how it drapes. Now, the reason I used crystals, okay, I do have a reason. So I like to use clear crystal when I feel like the design is heavy in certain areas. So to me, this is a little heavy in the front, and so I don't like to have this type of heaviness throughout the rest of the necklace, so I like to make the rest of the necklace lighter, and by using clear crystals, you're making it lighter at the top with all the emphasis on the bottom. And that's the reason for the clear crystals. But you can do whatever you want, guys, okay? You can use whatever color you want. You could use blue all the way up. You could use silver. You could even use this beautiful coffee color. So anyway, this is the finished product, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and I'll be right back to say goodbye.
Let's drift away from this world of madness. Take a little time to enjoy the silence. Feel the wind as it touches your lips. Feel the sun as you close your eyelids.
Well, what's your opinion? Is it a summer piece, a fall piece, or a winter piece, or all three seasons? Anyway, guys, I really had a lot of fun today. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you like it when I put the piece on so you can see what it looks like. I think it helps to see it before you actually make it. And please show me your gratitude by giving me a thumbs up and subscribing, because that'll help me grow my channel and I'll be able to make more videos for you. All right, guys, thanks a lot for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Let's drift away from this world of madness. Take a little time to enjoy the silence. Feel the wind as it touches your lips. Feel the sun as you close your eyelids.